Welcome to the Man 360 podcast.
So thank you for joining us here today on the Man 360 podcast. I have a very special guest. You may have known this man's story, maybe not seen his face. This is Joe Kennedy, and he was the coach that was kind of beat down for his faith, the incredible and amazing thing of kneeling and praying to himself. So crazy. So Joe, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Gosh. So just share a little bit about your story. You know, I know, again, people may have heard this, you know, it went through the courts and all these other kind of things that happened, but just share your story about standing up.
Yeah, you're right, because everybody's heard the story, but, you know.
Who is that guy?
America, our attention span's about that long.
It's true.
Yeah, so up in Bremerton, Washington, I was a coach for Bremerton High School. I prayed after every game, win or lose, and the team started coming out with me. And one of the coolest things is that every team in our league ended up on their 50-yard line praying and being thankful after a game.
That's awesome.
So it was something really, really cool.
Yeah. So an insurrection, it sounds like.
Yeah, we were such
a
terrible
spiritual insurrection.
Such terrible people. Yeah, but we got a compliment on it. Somebody called and told our principal that what you're doing is awesome. And they started an investigation, and it just spun out of control. Their lawyers got involved, and the best thing to do is you just remove it out of there instead of facing it and dealing with it. Yeah. We couldn't even talk as you know, friends.
Wow.
And it turned into an ugly lawsuit that it lasted 8 years.
And you had to, Paul was telling me this too, and I didn't know all the ins and outs. Paul was listening to when you were talking here at Promise Keeper event. You had to sue your wife because she was a part of the school district.
Yeah, she was.
So then we'll talk about like marriage. The marriage will be the next podcast for Joe and his wise wisdom of how to sue your wife.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only thing I say. Don't ever sue your spouse.
Sue your wife.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you can check that one off.
Yeah. Intense fellowship is what you have after that.
That's so crazy. So there's all these different dynamics that are going on. You're trying to just take the high road, right? You're former military, you're former Marine. And then you're kneeling, and then this just escalates into them saying you have to choose between either your job or your faith.
Right. And I stopped praying with the kids when they told me to, because I didn't want to cause any trouble. Yeah. But when they said I needed to choose between my prayers and my job, I was mad. You know, military guy, Marine. Right. We don't play well with each other.
Right? You're not an ex-Marine. Yeah. There's always still
you're picking a fight with the wrong guy.
Right.
And that's what I was really going to stand for. I've had brothers and sisters die, and I was in combat also, and for the rights of all Americans. And now all of a sudden they're going to take my rights away. Yeah. And that just didn't sit with me. So I had to make the stand. And one of the cool things about it was for my team, I had to stick with it. And it lasted for 8 years. And I had to stick with it because if not, I would have been the biggest hypocrite in the world.
Exactly.
I tell these guys, I don't care if your arm hurts, rub some dirt on, get back in the game. Now all of a sudden I'm going to quit because this is uncomfortable. So I had to lead by example.
That's awesome. So leading by example in talking about your football team, but then also for your family, we were talking a little bit about, how do you do that? How do you, as a man of God, somebody listening to this podcast, it's just like, I'm so inundated with all these different things in my world. How do you lead your family through and navigate that DEI piece of where people are right now in culture?
And that's, for Christians, it should be really easy. I mean, there's a whole book on it, the Bible thing.
The Bible, right? The song we all learned.
So, we have the instructions. Yeah. I personally just don't read the Bible. I know I'm a terrible Christian, but I'm trying to love God and love others. But it started with me, and if I want to be the spiritual leader and I want to be the head of my household, it has to start with me. Yeah. And that's where I started, on my knees and my relationship with God. And the rest of my family falls under that umbrella, and that's where we need to live through all those storms.
Yeah, I think that's really a key. And we've interviewed so many people on the program, the TV program, and now the podcast, just talking about how there's such this a focus on trying to give to everybody else in your family when you're not allowing God to give to you first, right? So the proper flow is you allow God to give to you, you set that example, you pray and allow God to be able to work and do those things through you, And then he's able to minister in that way to your family. And then you can sue your wife again and she'll forgive you, because that's also in the Bible.
I mean, that's
right?
a natural way it should be.
Yes.
We should be the leaders and the protectors of
Yeah.
our family. And if we're not doing that, then we're not being men.
Right. So talk a little bit about your book. You have Average Joe the book, Average Joe the movie, that's coming out in September, correct?
October 11th.
October 11th. Awesome. So, and obviously we'll give, ways for people to be able to connect in the comments and all that stuff too. But just talk about the book and the movie and just what's developed from
Right.
this.
I really wanted people to know the guy, not just the headlines, because that's all we see is what's on Facebook or what's on the headlines of the news, and we don't really get to know. And we make snap judgments. So this really covers my life of where I came from. I was an unwanted pregnancy. I was in and out of group homes, foster homes, and then through the military, all the way through my life. So it shows the battles that I have fought that have prepared me for this battle. And I didn't know that. I didn't know God was preparing me for this, because I was an atheist for years.
Wow.
And then next thing you know, here I am. I'm known as the praying coach. I'm like, man, I just want to be known as a good coach, not the praying coach.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, it's interesting because even the title of this, Average Joe the book, Average Joe the movie, is just that you were just an average guy. You weren't some self-admittedly, some hyper spiritual religious guy that was looking to pick a fight. But it was like the fight was brought to you, and you had that moment of being able to, again, to choose between right and wrong.
Yeah,
really.
and I really did want to just give up just about every day.
Wow.
And I really had to focus on my faith and being grounded with God.
Yeah.
And through that storm. And it was terrible. I don't recommend anybody to do it, but it is so worth it to be able to stand up and fight for what you believe in. And then that shows the rest of the people around you that you're not all talk.
Well, and I think too, it's important where you're being the example by walking through that, right? It's like even in the military, you'd have to go into a situation, and it's like you have to be the example for any other men that are following you into battle. I mean, I think it's the same thing too when you're walking through things like this, because, and there's going to be people that I did a little bit of a study, and I preached on this before about how it's important to know that like problems and things that happen in your life are actually helping to build and make you stronger.
Yes.
Right? If you go to the gym and you only lift the bar forever and you're like, look, I can do 1,000 reps with my 45-pound bar, but you don't add any weight on, you're never going to get stronger.
Right.
So.
And it's going to be painful at times. And
Absolutely.
so my Bible verse is 2 Timothy 4:7, and it's fight the good fight, finish the race, and remain faithful.
Yep.
Nowhere in there does it say that you have to win, but we have to fight. He's got the win.
Right.
So we just need to be able to withstand that storm and be able to fight.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I think too, and what would you speak to spouses as well of men, or that are going through this as well, like just to hang with, even though your husband sues you, hang with him, right? Forgive him and hang with him.
We almost got divorced over this, and
wow.
she went through so much. The hate mail that she got. How could you do this to your husband? We even had Christians attacking her, saying, what kind of person fires their husband for praying? And it got so nasty, and I felt so bad for her. I didn't know how to reach her. And I prayed and prayed and prayed that God let her understand, because we've known each other since we were 9, and she knew I was always a rebellious kid, and you're not going to tell me what to do. Right. So she just thought I was being me. She didn't understand that, and it just took to the breaking point. Yeah. And then God opened her eyes, and she finally understood this wasn't about me. This was 100% about God. And where in the Bible somewhere it says that two become one.
Yeah.
That absolutely made sense to me, because we are inseparable. And little fights, all the stupid things that we have fought over the years. We've been married for 20 years now.
Right.
We fought over a lot of stupid stuff. And let me tell you,
the perspective that comes
exactly,
when you go through something like this.
And that's what it's all about.
Gosh.
And if we could withstand this, you could withstand anything.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to stay in that fight, and it's worth fighting.
And I think it's good too, you mentioned, I think it's really important, we're joking about it, but it's really important too to have perspective on the things that you argue with your wife about, because I know we went through, my wife and I went through a medical situation with my eye, and it was like, I really believe those times either push you together and make you stronger and weld you together, or they pull you apart and further, but I really believe with God as the center of that. And like you said, it's a development of your faith, it's a development of those relationships in your life, including your wife, because it's so important.
Oh yeah, J.B. Weld, man, he holds it together.
I love J.B. Weld. It's like Jesus Weld, covers a multitude of sins.
I screwed up two of my other, I was married twice before, screwed that up majorly. I screwed up raising my son. So God gave me another chance, and I really want to do it right this time.
That's awesome. Well, Joe, thank you for being on the podcast.
It's awesome to be here,
so
brother.
So good to meet you, and yeah, we're just encouraged, and I just really believe, again, just in the movie and the book, and just to really encourage people, and we encourage people too to go read the book, go to the movie, and just to really support you guys on what you're doing. I think is awesome. So,
thank you so much. Man.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
All right.